Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com, No Spin News. Very graciously joining us, even though Sid is out this week. I'm Jake Novak in for Sid. We're here with John Catsimatidis, Fernando Mateo, Judge Weinberg, former Governor David Paterson. And, Bill, we got to ask you your take.
And by the way, Fernando Mateo is asking Sid to take another week off.
Yeah, he wants him to take it.
Yeah. He's been lobbying. He's been making contributions and lobbying for it.
Yeah, we have earth, wind, and fire. Now we have smoke and water in the house.
But no mirrors.
No mirrors.
Bill, I got to ask you, though, I mean, your take on these. You definitely addressed it in your program last night on the No Spin News, but the take on this communist overtaking of these Democrat primaries in New York and what this means, not only for New York, but for the whole country.
Okay, but first I have to tell you the reason I'm here is because Sid said if I don't go on with you guys, he's going to come to my house.
He's not that far from your house.
Yeah.
He can get there.
I can't have that. So here I am. Anyway, you have to, if you really want to understand what's going on in New York City, and it's going on in Los Angeles, Chicago, and San Francisco as well, the big urban centers. You got to understand the educational system. That's where it all starts, in first, second grade. So you've got a teachers union that dominates here that is wildly left-wing. And the imposition of a curriculum that says to the urchins, you live in a bad country. The United States is slavery. It's terrible. It dropped bombs on Japan. It persecutes people. You don't have rights. You can't vote. On and on. And when children hear this constantly, all right, they form attitudes about their country because they don't have any balance. All right, the unions ram in principals, assistant principals, who then hire teachers who are very left-wing. That's where it starts. And so that when these kids go into high school and then get out of school and look for jobs, many of them do not change their opinion of the country. So you have, for Mamdani, a constituency there, okay? So they like him. They believe him. And we're talking about the rank and file, the kids who went through the public school system. And they think America is bad. So we have to have a huge change. You add to that minority voters, many of whom have a bitterness toward the system. We all know that. You have to be honest. And some of the bitterness is warranted. Some minority people have been treated terribly by our system. And you combine that kind of ethnic voting with the voting of people who really don't know anything. They know one side of the story, America is bad, and that's why these guys get elected. Now, in a general election in New York State, that wouldn't happen, in my opinion. But here's the problem. Hochul, a standard Democrat, could stop the madness. She has the power to stop it. She won't stop it because she wants to be reelected and she wants all the money that flows into the Democratic Party from these radical leftists. George Soros, we know the game. Okay? Chinese are pumping billions of dollars into the United States electoral system. Billions. To try to change us from a capitalistic free society to a communist totalitarian society. Let me give you one really vivid example of how people are going to get hurt, and fast. So Mamdani wants to collectivize housing in New York. He wants to run it. He doesn't want a landlord. He doesn't want private industry involved in housing. He wants City Hall to run it. What's going to happen, it's already underway, is that the landlords who invested millions of dollars into the tenements and to the other dwellings aren't going to fix anything. they're not going to put more money into New York City housing. So when you're living there and you got a big problem with heating or rodents or whatever it may be, and you call, no one is going to help you. So therefore, the slums, as they're called, are going to get worse. And I mean a lot worse. Mamdani wants that. He wants critical mass to get the private landlords out of the business. And he'll try to bankrupt them with exercise tax, with excise tax, I should say, with regulations. You can't do this, you can't do that. Where do you see the regulations that are going to come on housing? Where do you see? In the meantime, the people who vote for the communists, because Mamdani is a communist, he's not a socialist. He would seize your property forcibly if he could. That's communism. They're going to get hosed. And it always comes down to that. You elect these people throughout history, they come in, they have power, and you, the voter, get it right between the eyes. And that's what's going to happen. It's already happened in L.A. You can't even turn on streetlights in L.A. now. That's how bad that place is.
Bill O'Reilly, you mentioned housing, and we had this housing bill, this bipartisan housing bill, and, you know, we can be very scrutinizing of it and whether it's really going to do much. I do like the idea that at least it's marketed as improving supply. Everything is supply and demand. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. But President Trump abruptly canceling the signing ceremony or saying he's not going to sign it until he gets the Save America Act passed. And John Catsimatidis and I think that's a good strategic move. We don't have anything if we don't have vote integrity in this country. But Judge Weinberg and former Governor Patterson think, no, he should have taken the W on this so that in the midterms, the Democrats can't say this is a do-nothing Congress and a do-nothing president. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I think that I would have taken the deal and signed the legislation because that connects me more with the voters and the Republican Party. But at the same time, you don't have to throw the Save America Act down the drain. Now, symbolically, every American should want the Constitution upheld, okay? And the Constitution says you have to be an American citizen to cast a ballot. Now, the communists and the left are trying to get around that, saying, no, we're going to have local elections, and the Constitution doesn't apply to that, which is a bunch of garbage, and they'll lose all day long. Okay, but at this point in history, what the Republican Party has to do is become more accessible to the voters, because the voters are blaming the Republicans for a whole bunch of stuff, like the Iran war and on and on and on and on. So I probably would have taken the housing thing, got it into motion, but then go back. And here's my question about the Voter Integrity Act. Who's opposed to that? Who's opposed to upholding the Constitution and not having foreign nationals vote? I'll tell you who.
Democrats.
The radical Democrats. In New York City, the three Congress people, and you can't get more radical than them. You can't. They're communists, all right? They won the election because, in my opinion, because 48% of working people in New York City were born overseas. 48%.
And that's increased substantially in the last 5 years since President Biden allowed them in.
And that's how Mamdani won the election last year.
And since Mayor Adams, we gave these people rewards to come in. We gave them $400 a day hotel rooms.
Gift cards.
Gave them free cell phones. We gave them free food. And some of them didn't even like the food.
We do what we do best in America. Give, 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 and give. Bill, this is Fernando
Mateo.
Mateo.
It goes beyond that because the 48%, and I'm generalizing now because there are some migrants who know the country better than I do. And my experience is I run 3 corporations. Migrants are very hardworking people. That being said, I would say the majority of people who Biden let in the open border catastrophe that were then nurtured by the city and state of New York have no attachment to American tradition. None.
Bill, this is
You're going to vote for the person, the politician who promises to give them the most stuff. That's what's happening.
Bill, this is Fernando Mateo. It's an honor to have you on the other side here on Sid's show. Bill, I have a question for you. How do you believe we can turn this around? We know that people that are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old have stopped coming out to vote. The people that were elected that Mamdani supported all were from minority communities, and only 10% of the people came out to vote, most of them being white and crazy. How do we figure this out, Bill? How do we fix it?
A lot of white and crazy people, number one. So it's a complicated matter. The way I have a new book coming out in September called Confronting America, What Has to Change. And here's how you can change it. The Department of Education, a federal agency, imposes regions, and we have them here in New York, about history on every high school senior. You have to take the exam. And the exam centers on traditional America. What was the Civil War? How did the Revolutionary War end? Those kinds of things. Therefore, the teachers and the principals who are now undermining the system and not teaching factual information would be forced to teach factual information unless they wanted to be embarrassed and have the test scores be terrible, and then they face local scrutiny. And they can also face federal scrutiny. You can go in and you can say, this school is not operating the way it should because it's getting public money. It has to start there. That's where you have to change it in the schools, because you're not going to be able to do it on television or party politics or anything like that. You're not going to be able to do it. But you have to raise the level of awareness. Who are we? How did America become the most powerful nation on earth? What is our system? Because these are questions that kids in high school cannot answer. And it has to be imposed.
Bill O'Reilly, by the way, the book, again, for those of you who heard it, didn't get the whole title, Confronting America, What Has to Change, going to be available in September.
September 15th.
September 15th. So
and they're going to chase me out of the country. You know that. So I only have a few more weeks, and because I really, really go into here is
why don't we give it out? I'll buy a zillion copies, or give it out at the gala, the WABC gala we're having on September 11th.
I like the word zillion. I like that word. We'll work it out, John. Thank you. You've always been very generous to me.
Well, listen, we all fight for America, and we all love people that fight for America.
Bill, on the other hand, I need some books donated for me so that I can give them away to the listeners of the No Excuses with Fernando Mateo every Sunday between 6 and 7. I'm here on WABC Radio. I want to give the book away.
Announcement.
I'm telling you.
And please, Bill, listen to my show. I'd like to hear your feedback.
So you're asking me to get up at 6:30 on Sunday?
No, in the evening. No,
is that what you're asking me to do?
PM.
In the evening. I have prime time.
6 a.m. in the morning is Judge Weinberg.
Let the record show.
6% in the evening is
6
Fernando Mateo.
6 p.m.
Take
I'm on.
your choice.
6 p.m. I'm on, and I'd love to hear your feedback.
Done.
Well, Bill O'Reilly, thank you for everything you do, and God bless you. God bless America, and let's catch up again real soon.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's take a break.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?